Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Zach Moore podcast. I kind of wanted to just hop on for a little bit. I don't have too much time today. I've been kind of busy and also been kind of lazy as well. That's why I haven't been keeping up on these episodes as often as I would have liked to. Let me turn this light on right here. There we go. Um, for the people watching on YouTube, you can obviously see I'm in a different area. I'm in my bedroom right now because it's more comfy. And for the people listening, you can't see it. But with that being said, I did put something out on Twitter the other day. Said going to a Justin Bieber concert podcast tomorrow. And I've felt super compelled that this was one of the things. I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care if I have 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. This is something that I wanted to talk about. Because I have put a lot of time and a lot of effort, I guess, into being a Justin Bieber fan. And I just kind of want to give the whole rundown of that because I feel like it's super important to me being a fan of Justin Bieber. It's is to start off the podcast. It sounds like one of the stupidest things ever, and it most likely is. You're able to have that opinion, but I just kind of wanted to just talk about it. So when I was in sixth grade, this was 2008, 2009, somewhere around then. And there was, I don't even know who introduced me to Justin Bieber or what it was, but I remember getting a hard copy of the first album of Justin Bieber and listening to it. Obviously, it was a CD. I didn't have an iPod Touch or anything at the time where I could actually listen to the music. And it, especially back then, you had to buy the music. There wasn't really like streaming or anything like that that I knew of at that time. And so I had the album, and that was how I got introduced. At that time, I was sixth grade. I was maybe 12, 13 years old. And I immediately, for whatever reason, I don't know why, super interested and a super big fan right from the jump. And so kind of how it happened was started listening, and right at this very same time, and one of the reasons why I think it was a huge part for me was at the same time I was really thinking like, dude, I want to go into like drama because I had already done a lot of stuff with plays and acting and stuff, nothing like movies or anything, but just local in the area stuff. And so I was doing that, and I was like, maybe I want to, in some ways, do some kind of acting. And then I was like, I really like to sing. And I was like, maybe as I get older, I'll get better at singing. I'll get lessons. Because at that time, when I was in fifth grade, I believe it was, I was taking piano lessons. And eventually I did stop that once I got into middle school. But I did take those lessons. That really interested me in music. And in middle school and earlier, I played the trumpet, and that was fun. And I was actually pretty good at playing the trumpet as well. But with that being said, I think it was a culmination of me being interested in music. I was looking at colleges already. I was like, I'm going to go to Full Sail University because they have a major um, for music singing. I forget the name of it, but that's kind of how it started. And so I'm starting to listen to Justin Bieber a lot, and there's a lot of other vast majority of people who I went to middle school with, girls who also like Justin Bieber. And this was his first album, My World. Had a CD, and my mom had a Prius at the time, and she had a 6-slot CD player in her car. And what I would do is I would put the CD in, and I would always hit the specific button for that CD. And every day going to school, it was maybe like a 10-minute drive. Every day playing that Justin Bieber track in the car, and I would sing along to it. And I mean, I was singing my heart out. I thought that I was singing really good, but obviously I didn't know anything about good singing. I was like, you know what, that's really good. So from then, I would come home from school and I would go up to my room and I had a little stereo thing, put Justin Bieber on the stereo, and I would just sing in my bedroom for an hour, two, three, sometimes every night. And just from then on, I just seventh, eighth grade, all throughout the progression, the My World 2.0. I remember the day, it was my birthday. Just got home from a Little League game, and one of my friends, he gave me a CD of Justin Bieber My World 2.0, which I had been listening to at his house. He would play it on iTunes while we would play NBA 2K, and we would sing it. And he was a pretty good singer. Um, and so we would sing that together. He knew how much I liked Justin Bieber, and then he got me that CD, and then that just set it off for me because I had my own CD. I didn't have a CD that was in my mom's car, so I had that CD, and I played it every single day. It just got more and more and more and more. That was the only thing I was listening to, and that was probably seventh grade. I sixth, seventh grade, I want to say, but once I got that album, I started reading stuff. I found out he liked Purple a lot. Then the Never Say Never movie came out about Justin Bieber, and that brought my interest to a whole new level. I was dating at the time, so I would show every single girlfriend that I had the movie, show them, be like, look, that's Justin Bieber, that's Jaden Smith, all this other stuff. And I was so into Justin Bieber. Granted, it's very relative. I mean, there were some people who were going to his concerts, and some people were crazy enough to like go find his house and stuff like that. I wasn't doing that. I was just a kid in Old Lyme, Connecticut, a very small town, who was a monster fan of Justin Bieber, looking from a distance because I was like, you know, I could see myself as that. So I got the hair when I was in sixth grade. Before that, it was mostly just shortcut, just a regular stuff. But then I was like, I like Justin Bieber's hair. So I got that Justin Bieber hair. If you remember, it looks like a mop in some aspects, but a couple of pictures of me from when I was in middle school, you'll see the hair. And so I kind of started off with Justin Bieber through that, a massive influence on my childhood when I was in middle school. And at the time, I was dealing with a lot of mental health issues, some bullying, some people who were friends with me, no longer friends with me. And it wasn't just on their part, it was also part of me having to struggle with some mental health issues that I will get into at a later episode, most likely. And it was really hard for me to deal with feeling like an outsider, kind of. And as I got older, seventh, eighth grade, I was still as big of a Justin Bieber fan as anybody, but it started to become the butt of a joke for some people that I was a Justin Bieber fan. And frankly, I did take it to heart that maybe something was wrong with me. And I did receive a lot of flack of it, not only in middle school, but then later on in high school, a little bit in college as well. But I was always a huge fan. And not that the lyrics really spoke to me. There was one song, That Should Be Me, the last track on My World 2.0, that my middle school girlfriend broke up with me, and she started dating for a little bit the other friend whose house I went over, played 2K with, and he's the one who gave me the My World 2.0 CD. Later on, my girlfriend, um, who's now a very big star on TikTok, it's very weird to see, um, go and start dating him, and then that kind of left me with just the CD playing. That should be me holding your hand. That song. And there was a Rascal Flatts one. I think that might have been on the deluxe edition. Same with a song like Kiss and Tell. But anyways, so that was kind of like the only song that like spoke to me. The rest of the songs were just things that I could sing along to, and I could imagine myself singing it on a stage. There were so many times where I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna enter into the school talent show. I'm gonna get on that stage, and just like every single day in my bedroom, where I'm singing my heart out, singing at the top of my lungs. My brother's banging on the wall right next to me because I'm singing so loud. Even when I would bring friends over, take them upstairs to the bedroom and play Justin Bieber and just hang out and just sing and go all out for them. There was even a time when the song Baby came out by Justin Bieber, and I would call girls on the phone, some who I was friends with, others who I wanted to get into a relationship with, and I would sing Baby to them. And it was, looking back on it now, it was very cringy. I don't know if the girls were doing it because they were like, oh my gosh, she's so good or anything like that, or they were just trying to make fun of me. Either way, I did multiple different, I guess you can call them performances for other people. And so that's kind of the beginning of the, I wouldn't call it relationship, but the admiration of Justin Bieber. I was a monster fan, huge fan as a kid. And especially coming at it from a male perspective, that was something that was really not super promoted, or like it wasn't like the cool thing to do. Like obviously I still had a lot of interest in rap, hip hop and rock and roll and that kind of stuff at that time. But I was a Justin Bieber fan. And my parents would, we would go over to people's houses and they would mention it every so often. And that was interesting to see how people would react, be like, really? Really? Because I mean the idea was that Justin Bieber was for middle school and young girls, 16-year-olds. And I was a 14-year-old boy who was super into Justin Bieber, had the hair, had everything. And so that's kind of how it started. Then going into high school, obviously, I remember the day I was driving to school and I knew that Justin Bieber's the third album, or technically fourth album, Purpose, was coming out. I think it came out in 2016, I want to say. And I remember putting that on in the car, and everybody was talking about, yo, his new single, What Do You Mean? Song is so good, which Justin actually did play last night, which I will get to later. But um, in high school, I didn't really talk too much about my like for Justin Bieber. I was still just as big as a fan. I did have more interest outside of Justin Bieber. It wasn't just solely Justin Bieber at that point. I found out about rappers and drill rap. I found out about G Herbo, Lil Herb, same exact person, but the name switch as well. Lil Bibby, that kind of stuff, like the Chicago drill rap scene. I kind of got into Chief Keef a little bit, so there was that kind of stuff that I, coming from middle school, I didn't have any exposure to. So once I got to high school, I really dove into it because I was really interested by it. But I was still a Justin Bieber fan. And so when Purpose came out in 2016, driving to school, I was maybe 16, 17 at the time. And just hearing those songs and hearing my one of my favorite tracks on that album is the Travis Scott, It Don't Make No Sense Unless You Doing It With Me. Very, very good song that I still like to this day. But when I heard that album for the first time driving in my car, it brought me back to my days in middle school, where there would be people who would talk crap about me to my face and behind my back, that I would find out later, about my, I guess the best way to describe it is sexuality, as a result of me really liking Justin Bieber. I wasn't wearing Justin Bieber shirts or clothing or anything like that. I don't think I ever have bought anything that's like Justin Bieber related other than CDs and music. But people would talk about it and I would find out about it and they'd be like, hey, Zach, like, do you like boys or something? Because like you're a really big Justin Bieber fan. And then sometimes it would be the butt of some jokes, which didn't really terribly bother me, but it was just an accumulation of overtime. People would bring that up, and when I would meet new people at a sporting event or something like that, tell them how much I like Justin Bieber, it would be like, what? Yeah, we're about to play lacrosse, we're about to play soccer, baseball, whatever it was. They were like, okay, like that's weird. And so it was something growing up that was just weird. I don't know really what gravitated me to that music. I think, like I said earlier, it was a culmination of me being really interested in music and wanting to sing and be in a band and be a recording artist and go on tour and that kind of stuff in sixth grade. And then hearing this new guy whose music I really liked, and just the combination of the two just immediately attached me. That's what I think of. That's what I think really happened. And so then we fast forward into high school with the release of Purpose. Uh, Really good album. I thought that kind of reinvigorated my interest because at that time I was experiencing with new music that I hadn't heard before, like I said earlier. But that Justin Bieber album, that made me super, super willing to go to my other friends, play the songs for them. And also at that time, you had Where Are You Now? Um, you also had Love Yourself, which at the time when the album dropped really wasn't that popular song, but that was my favorite song, followed by No Sense. Those are the two songs that I really liked off that album. And Love Yourself became super popular later. And then that was the song that caught my ear. First listen, I was like, ooh, I really like that song. That's a very good song. Very catchy, very not super poppy. The acoustic guitar in it, very good. But then I started opening up to my high school friends. Now I went middle school in Old Lyme, elementary school, all the earlier stuff. And then I went to another town called New London to go to a magnet high school there. And they had the New London High School. And then they also had a connected but separate school where you would do your math, science courses and stuff. And it was a lottery to get in. And there was more than enough spots for Old Lyme because really not a lot of people from Old Lyme went to this school. But with that being said, uh, the release of the Purpose album was kind of the big thing for me to talk to my high school friends about Justin Bieber. And that getting into high school, we're getting older and older now, and so it was a very weird thing where my friends had a completely different interest than some of my friends in middle school. I mean, I tell the story about singing Justin Bieber and listening to it, playing 2K with my friends. That did not happen in high school. And so throughout high school, still a big Justin Bieber fan, still following all the stuff that was going on with him, all the controversy was happening when I was in high school, peeing in mop buckets, doing all crazy stuff. And on some levels, I did connect to it because I was going through some things of my own, which, like I said earlier, I'll talk about at a later time. But just for today's episode, seeing what Justin Bieber is going through, it kind of resonated with me because I was like, dude, this guy's got to be crazy. But I mean, looking back on it now as I've gotten older, I completely understand kind of what I wouldn't say understand, but I have a better understanding of kind of what happened. You have this kid who, at the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, starts posting YouTube videos, which I didn't know of at the time. I wasn't on YouTube at all when I was in middle school. So the first thing I heard of was My World, that album. That was my introduction. But Justin Bieber goes from making videos, covers on YouTube to then being flown out to see Usher, flown out to get a record deal, and then immediately he's on tour with that first album. And he's maybe 16, 15 doing that at that age. And I mean, the amount of pressure you have a giant company, record company that is looking to make money off of you. And so if you're 16 and you're like, I mean, if I was 16 and somebody asked me to go on tour one day and it was multiple days a week where I had to go from one city to the other, a bunch of traveling, that kind of stuff, I can imagine I would get irritated. I would disconnect from my friends, disconnect from reality, because you go from hanging out with your friends, doing random stuff, playing sports and that kind of stuff, to playing in arenas in front of 20,000 people. And then after you get off stage from that, you're in a little green room by yourself, or you get into a taxi or whatever it is, you get chauffeured back to your hotel room, back to whatever, and then you're alone. And I mean, now as an adult, I can see why that would be difficult for a lot of people to manage. It doesn't matter if you see you're alone in your hotel room and you see, uh, just got $50,000 deposited into my checkings account for doing a show tonight. I mean, yeah, that's nice, but it after a period of time, I feel like you become numb to it now. I obviously I'm not making tens, hundreds, millions of dollars, but even now, I mean, if you get paid, let's say from your job and you're getting paid however much money, you become accustomed to it. And it doesn't seem like a lot. Whereas when I was 15 years old, if I saw like a $500 paycheck or something like that, I'd be like, dude, that is so much money. And then same thing with 1,000, do that, all this other stuff. So I think that was kind of what led to it, and which I really commend Justin for. He really was one of, if not the biggest, like child stars. Like, yes, there's Demi Lovato. I mean, the only other one could maybe be Hannah Montana in her heyday, but Justin Bieber had gotten a hold of a specific audience and he rode it out for a very long time, super popular all throughout. Yeah, his third album, I want to say it was his third album, Journals, didn't do as well as My World 2.0 and Purpose. The Journals didn't do as well. Um, but I mean, you're talking about somebody who has My World, massive success, launches his career. My World 2.0, what I think is his best album, massive success, has a tour off of that one. Then you have, I believe, Journals after that one, still very successful, but in relation to My World 2.0, not on the same level. Then you have Purpose, massive, massive, huge tour on that one, very successful. And then that was kind of an album. You did have a song like One Less Lonely Girl, One Time on My World, that were widely acclaimed, very, very popular songs. Then you had obviously Baby on My World 2.0, which was probably Justin's most famous song. And then you had What Do You Mean, Sorry, Love Yourself on Purpose, which were uh, very, very popular, not just through Justin's fans. And so that's kind of how he received accolades and admiration from outside of his listening base. And so then after that, I want to say, oh no, because I think there were more albums in between before Purpose that I want to say. Yeah, I definitely missed a bunch. Yeah, that's wrong. I don't want to look it up right now, but I know that's wrong. There's an album that I'm missing, and hopefully I'll find it out later. But I know there's an album I'm missing. I want to say it's Believe. I know it. I know the title of the album. Boyfriend is on it. If I was your boyfriend, that song. That was also kind of around the time where his voice started to deepen because he was coming through puberty. And so that was an interesting thing too. You saw from My World 2.0. I think it was the album that had Boyfriend on it. I don't know why I can't think of it right now, but there was also Beauty and a Beat. All I Need Is a Beauty and a Beat with Nicki Minaj. Very good song. There was that album. I don't know why I can't think of it. Don't know why I can't think of it. But then there was that album. Then it was Journals. Then it was Purpose. I think that's how it went. And so then that's kind of high school, super big fan. And then getting into college, told people about I had been a fan of Justin Bieber since I was sixth grade, and it was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's kind of weird, but I would be like, dude, like I am a huge fan of Justin Bieber, huge fan. Always be listening and stuff like that. But at that time, I had become way more well-rounded in my music. So that if Justin Bieber wasn't playing, whereas if I was in middle school, I'd be like, dude, I need to have Justin Bieber played right now. Once I got to college, I was like, I can go for like months without listening to Justin Bieber, and like it's fine. It's fine. I don't have to listen to him every single day. However, I did love the music that he was putting out and that kind of stuff. So then once I get to college, that's kind of how that started. Met some people, yeah, I like the songs. And then you have Justin's second to last album. I don't know why I didn't look up the names of these before, but I don't know why I can't think right now. It is 10:41 after getting home at around midnight last night. Which is no excuse. I'm just saying I'm a little tired. Did have a little bit to drink at the concert as well, which I was interested by. But it was at PPG Paints Arena here in Pittsburgh. So the hockey arena for the Penguins. So in college, to get back to it, couple albums dropped while I was in college. Super fun. Would listen to them with my friends, and it brought me back to that middle school person who was listening to songs with my friends. And I mean that was just such a cool turn of life moment. Everything that happened to me up to that point. I mean, once I was in high school, I really didn't felt like I fit in a lot of places because of Justin Bieber. It was something I didn't really want to talk about. But once I was, and then kind of same thing early in college, because when you're in college and you're like, dude, like I like Justin Bieber, bro. Like, let's put on some Justin Bieber. Yeah, some people would joke about it and stuff like that, and I was fine with it at that point. I was like, yeah, I get why people would make fun of it. But had some friends who liked I wouldn't say they liked Justin Bieber, but they knew his songs. I would say that. I was more of a fan of Justin Bieber. And then that kind of brings all throughout college, that whole fiasco. Then after graduation, move in with my wife. And well, even before we moved in, she was a huge Justin Bieber fan, just like I was, which was crazy because I didn't really know her all too well in high school. I knew of her, a lot of her, because we didn't go to a huge high school, but I didn't know like her music interests or anything like that. I mean, when we were dating in high school, once we started dating, I figured that out, but before that, I didn't really know. So that was a huge thing. We before we moved in, before we decided to come to Pittsburgh, like before we had signed a lease or anything on an apartment, we said, hey, Justin Bieber's going to be in Pittsburgh in May 2021. And we were like, oh, or like June 2021. We were like, oh man, we have to go. And unfortunately, there was COVID. And so that got postponed, that got canceled until yesterday. And that concert yesterday was originally supposed to be on in July. I don't know why it got pushed back, but so how that came about was I saw the tickets. I had my wife, her birthday is the 22nd of February, right around the time of Valentine's Day. So I decided, hey, I'm going to get 2 tickets to Justin Bieber's concert here in Pittsburgh. And then um, then on I'm not sure what day it was, but it was kind of a multi thing where I was like, hey, this is your birthday and your Valentine's Day present. Kind of got a 2-in-1. They were nice seats. They're nice seats. Not crazy amounts of money compared to my bank account. I mean, it was a couple $100, but definitely well worth it. We got great seats right in the back of the arena, so it was a straight look on to the stage. We were in the upper part of the deck, but I mean, you're looking at $1,000 for a ticket in some of the sections below us, which I am not paying. I don't care how big of a Bieber fan I am. I do not have that type of money. I am not willing to dish out that type of money. I mean, you're looking at $500-$600 a ticket for like a couple rows beneath us, even in our section, which is insane, craziness. So then we get to the concert and that kind of stuff, and the opening acts are very good. I forget the Tio. Very good opening act. He only does like 2-3 songs. Then after that, there's this guy called Eddie Benjamin, who my wife met up with a couple of her friends there, and they were talking about, yeah, there's this guy Eddie Benjamin. I never heard of him and stuff, but he was very, very good guitar player. Beautiful voice as well. He was really, really, really good. He played bass guitar and he also played an electric guitar as well for multiple songs. So that was really good. Then after that, there was Jaden Smith who came out. He had a couple of songs. He was all right. I mean, some of the songs are like alternative. So then he played the song Icon, which is the song that I know him from. I'm just an icon living. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, that song. So he came out with that song. And then after that, it's kind of a little intermission, give people some time to go to the bathroom and stuff. Jaden's like, you ready for Justin Bieber? Everybody's screaming. So then Justin comes out and he whole place goes crazy, and me and my wife are to each other like, yo, that's really it. That's really that dude. That is that dude. And just going through the entire concert, I mean, I've only gone into like surface level deep for like everything with Justin Bieber. I mean, it was every day when I was in middle school, listening every single day. And then to go through high school, to go through college, all this stuff, and then to be in that same building with somebody who I'd been listening to, whose work I've been a consumer of for over a decade, was one of the most surreal experiences for me. And frankly, I did get emotional in there because it was kind of like this thing of, I came from this really small town. I went to Penn State. And then after that, I moved to Pittsburgh, but I still kept that thing because Justin Bieber for me is something that reminds me of my childhood because he was a massive impact in my life as a young person. So just seeing him there and being like, I worked not really worked my life, but I've gone through so much in my life, and Justin Bieber's music has been a part of that all along the way since I was in middle school. And it was awesome to be able to finally be able to go to a concert and just be there, see him in his element, do that kind of stuff. And he was singing songs. He did sing Baby, sang he also sang some other songs off of other albums. I think the album is Believe. I think the album is Believe. I think that might be his third album before Journals. I think that's the name of it. But anyways, sang some off of that album that I want to say is Believe. I think that's the name of it. But he great show, great performance, a lot of good music, a lot of good songs, and it was kind of like brought me back to all the times when I was in middle school and people would make fun of me for liking him. But in that moment, I was like, dude, it's worth it, man. It's worth it. It's worth it to be able to be a fan of somebody, and it doesn't matter who's giving you flack for your interest, for what you like it. And if some people think that that's weird or that's negative, it does not matter what it is. If you're into Sour Patch Kids, or if you're into stuffed animals like I was once I got Once I got into middle school, that's kind of when I stopped with it. But I used to be really big into playing with stuffed animals and that kind of stuff. Build-A-Bears as well. But it was once I started listening to the old songs by Justin Bieber that was kind of a validation of, I mean, I was a huge fan, and there were 20,000 other people in the arena that were huge fans. And I imagine many of them have the exact same or very similar stories to kind of how I got introduced to Justin Bieber and how I listened every single day. And just it was a culmination of growing up in a small town and then being able to go to a concert and see this guy who I had been admiring from afar for a very long time. And then at the end um, to see him in his element, see the dancing, the choreography, all really good stuff. And to be there with my wife, who was a super big fan as well, who I've told about all of this stuff, even more in depth than I am right now, to just talk about that. And then to have Justin Bieber perform, awesome experiences. Some songs where I felt like when he did Baby is a great example. I was like, dude, that's the dude that sang that song. That's the same guy. He went into a studio, he recorded, he probably wrote some of the lyrics at least, but that's that dude. When I was seventh, eighth grade in middle school, screaming at the top of my lungs, singing to that song, when I was singing to girls on the cell phone, that's the dude that did that song. That's the dude that had that impact on my life. And it just came full circle to me. And I was like, I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky to be able to be in a position where I don't even know how to describe it. To be in a position where I am able to see this person who has made a huge impact on my life, more so than many other people. And the other thing was I realized he had this impact on thousands, millions of people, same way that he did on me. And then that kind of made me be like, it's got to be hard. It's got to be hard. I know what impact he made on my life. If I were to ever meet him in person, I would have a hard time not being like, dude, when I was in middle school, all this stuff, which he has heard millions of times. There are people who are suffering life altering, life ending diseases who listen to him every single day in the hospital, and then got better, and they give it to him. Like, there's crazy stories that I do not have. Crazy relationships to his music that I do not have. So, I mean, from his position, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. It has to be an insane position from the time you're 16, 15, 14 to now when he's in his 20s. He's married, all this stuff, and you still have people who have had such a huge impact on your life. I mean, that's why he gets paid a lot of money, lives in a beautiful house, probably has multiple homes, beautiful wife, beautiful everything. But it's got to be a weird relationship where somebody sees you on the street and they want to tell you, they want to spill everything about their life story. Dude, when I was in high school, man, I listened to your latest album every single day. That kind of stuff. And that's got to be exhausting to hear over a period of time. And so in some ways, seeing that performance and seeing that kind of brought home to me what it's like to be a famous person, because you go from performing at that to, I mean, what's he doing right now? It's 10:53 in the morning. He's not performing in front of 30,000 people. He's probably hanging out with a couple people in his group, is maybe heading over to an airport to hop on a jet. I think he has another show in North Carolina, and like, no, he's going to the Grammys. He talked about, I think he's going to the Grammys, so he's probably on a flight back to LA right now to go to the Grammys, which is another crazy thing. I mean, the Grammys is something like pretty much everybody knows about, and it's just crazy, like full circle, especially for him. to be somebody who watched Usher and these people at the Grammys and that kind of stuff, and then to one day perform there, which he's done multiple times. But it's not as fun doing it your third, fourth, fifth time as it is doing it your first time. It's just, I feel like people, stuff keeps happening to them over and over again, and they just become numb to it. I feel like that's kind of how it happens, and it's hard to appreciate this stuff when it keeps happening over and over again. It feels so normal. It feels so normal to get a $500,000 check. It feels so normal to just go perform in front of 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people in an arena. It's just normal. It's normal for you to release a song and it gets 10 million streams. It's normal. It's kind of what's expected. And then on top of that, you have, if my next album flops, what's my record label going to do? Like, how long is Justin Bieber going to be making music? He's been doing it for 10 plus years. And he really hasn't fallen off all that much. Some would say he's gotten bigger. He's seen definitely a lot more mainstream success, I would say, now with some of his songs. But I just want to kind of end it on blessed, happy, super fortunate to be able to go see somebody be in the same building and have, it's a weird relationship and a weird interaction where I'm sitting back. I'm not able to engage with Justin Bieber at all, but to just see him doing his thing. That's how he makes his money. Probably the bulk of his money is made by doing shows. And it's basically going to see him working at his best. It's just an absolute pleasure, culmination of a huge chunk of my life, all came full circle. I'm thinking about everything. The people who would talk crap, people who would sing the songs with me, people who loved Justin Bieber, people who hated Justin Bieber. All of that was just full circle last night, and I got super emotional because it's kind of validation for me of, if you like something, if you're passionate about something, do what it is in your life that makes you happy. Follow your passion, follow your dreams, because the only way you can't achieve your dreams is if you don't try. If you try and you fail, okay, how'd you fail? What can you do differently? It's better than not doing anything, sitting back and waiting for life to pass you over. I mean, this morning I waited 45 minutes before I got out of bed because I was like, I don't want to do a podcast, but I was like, I have a lot on my mind. There's so much I want to talk about. And I'm super glad that I did this. I wish I do this more often. But honestly, it's just a combination of laziness. And also sometimes there's just not a lot that I really want to talk about. Like, yeah, there's sports and stuff like that. There's politics and world events and music, all this other kind of stuff. But it's kind of weird that I'm in the apartment alone. After this, I'll go take a shower, go to the gym, hang out with my wife. It's weird. It's weird, but super happy that I did this. Super happy that Justin Bieber came to Pittsburgh. Super happy that the kid that was singing One Less Lonely Girl on the car ride to school in sixth grade is now able to come full circle, be a grown up, still have that same love and desire, and be able to go see somebody who made a huge impact on his life. And I'm very blessed. I'm gonna end the podcast there. Thank you everybody for listening. Not sure when I'm gonna do next one. I like to say every week, but I have no idea, with a lot of stuff happening in my life, so I don't know when I'll be able to have a time to sit down and do an hour or 2 or 3 or something like that again. I just want to say thank you everybody for listening now or at a later time. If you're coming from years in the future and you're listening, thank you very much. That is going to be it for me. Thank you so much. Everybody go out and be a believer. Go see his next concert. Go listen to his next track. Listen to some of that earlier music as well, because that man, Justin Bieber, is very good. Thank you.